Welcome to the Orange Flag Podcast. Whether you're a Ferrari fan like Aries and had your car win, or a Porsche fan like me and Oz and had a heroic last place to podium run, Le Mans left a lot of people with something to be proud of. I'm Nicole.
I'm Auston.
I'm Aries.
Yeah, since we're basically essentially a sports car podcast at this point that occasionally talks about other stuff, we can't not talk about the 24 Hours of Le Mans that was this past weekend. So the podium for Hypercar was the number 83 yellow Ferrari, had Robert Kubica, Yaya Fey, and Phil Hansen.
Harry.
We won!
At least he doesn't have a
Yellow car.
reason to whip out his Brazil flag again. Yellow
I don't have
car.
a Ferrari flag, sadly, yet. I don't have one, so
I feel like that's something you need to get.
I need to.
Yes.
Yesterday, I need to get one.
Yeah, you should have
I
ordered
mean,
one
I'm
yesterday.
kind of doing the same thing because the
You're,
number
like,
6
counting it.
Porsche Penske of Kevin Estra, Matt Campbell, and Lawrence Vantor came in second. And yes, this is the Formula One World Champion shirt. And then in third place, the non-disqualified 51 Ferrari of Antonio Giovinazzi, James Calato, and Alessandro Pierguidi. Yes, the 50 Ferrari got disqualified, like, very shortly ago on Monday.
Yes.
For a technical infringement after the race. That's the car that has Nicholas Nielsen, Miguel Molina, and Antonio Fuoco in it.
They deserve
Something
a whipping.
about it was missing bolts and had too much flex. It was very NASCAR sounding infringement. Like, I was like, what do you mean it's missing bolts?
Did they steal people for the 50 crew from a NASCAR team?
Seriously.
Like, is this how we find out Ferrari's doing NASCAR now? Imagine.
That would be amazing.
That would be crazy.
That would be the plot twist.
Yes.
But yeah, that wasn't the only disqualification of the week. The 6 was disqualified from qualifying. That's irrelevant though, so we actually are just going to move past that really quickly because it really doesn't matter.
It really doesn't.
We're gonna move past it, but we're also not gonna move past it because why did I learn about the fact that Kevin was starting the race from Lawrence Vantor's Instagram story?
Yeah.
Like that was, I went back and looked, right? So I looked at the notice board on Alcamel, and that was posted at 1:16 France time, and Lawrence posted his story at 1:17 France time.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah. Like, I think that they knew about it, so he was just waiting for the actual, like, notice of change of starting driver to post. So he didn't officially break the news, but he, like, basically broke the news.
Yeah, they still got it wrong on the WEC, like, post, though, of the starting grid.
Because it was so last minute. Like, I mean, they don't delete stuff, because there's still stuff up with the 6 making it to Hyperpole. So, like, you know, so that's, but yeah, I'm not upset, actually, with Kevin having to start the race, because it gave us one of those passing masterclasses that I feel like people that follow Kevin are aware that he does. He kind of does them in GT, but he has several crazy past 10 people, 12 people in the first lap kind of things. He went from 21st to 14th in the first lap, and then was P5 by the end of the first hour.
Yes.
And handed the car over in P3.
Mm-hmm.
That was bad.
That's insanity.
Yes.
That is insanity.
I think that's why a lot of people for, like, the best driver of Le Mans, like, put Kevin purely for that.
He was the best driver of
but,
Le Mans.
purely that stint alone.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
There was other craziness, in the sense that a rabbit got run over and we held a whole moment of silence on the broadcast for said rabbit.
Yeah, the 31 BMW crashed into a rabbit,
Yes.
and as the broadcast said, the rabbit lost, at least at first, because ultimately the 31 BMW also lost.
It also wasn't the only animal that was hit by a race car this weekend, because if you didn't know, there was other racing going on this weekend. And Lewis Hamilton hit a groundhog in the F1 race, and
Does this mean he's not vegan anymore?
yeah, he was very upset that he hit a groundhog. Yeah. It also apparently messed up the car too. So all the animals just getting karma.
Yeah, it was a bit of a massacre.
Yes. There was no moment of silence for the groundhog, though. Groundhog deserves some justice.
I think it's because there's not just random downtime in the middle of the night in a Formula One race where
What
they
do you
have
mean?
to fill time by, like, having moments of silence for a dead animal.
I, however, though, now feel like anytime an animal is hit in a race accidentally, there needs to be a moment of silence.
Dana, we need justice for the groundhog shirts.
Yes.
with like a Ferrari or Lewis or something on it. This is Morgan, this is how you get us to kind of sort of almost wear Ferrari merch, is justice for the groundhog stuff.
It's because I'm Canadian, okay? That's my reasoning for this. They hurt my groundhog. I would like to report, though, all the animals in NASCAR were safe.
Yes.
Some drivers even tried
to... Autodromo Hermano, whatever, Hermanos Rodriguez is not known for animals, though.
There were stray dogs roaming around on the track.
Yeah, but not while the race was going on. That was during track walk.
That was during track walk.
It's not known for random animals. I feel like Le Mans and Montreal both are known for the fact that there are animal sightings.
Yes. I will say, though, the NASCAR drivers were trying to take the dogs home with them.
Yes.
Very different dynamics here.
Le Mans just, I feel like, had a lot of issues with cars. Cars were just constantly having issues. The black Toyota, which is the 8, right? It lost a wheel. The 18 E-Deck lost a wheel.
Yes.
The 28 E-Deck lost a wheel.
The 5.
That's like the most lost wheels. Yeah, the 5 lost a wheel in qualifying.
Yeah. I was like, you're forgetting one of them that I feel like was obvious.
So, like, there were just a lot of lost wheels. It actually is kind of irrelevant which cars they are and which classes they're in and all of this. Le Mans is about executing strategy and operations to perfection, and a heck of a lot of teams didn't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say it wasn't just like tires flying, though. There were asses being burned by cars too. Nicky Katzberg, in the 45 CrowdStrike APR, they're like just interviewing him. The team personnel comes in talking about like how there's medical personnel there for him because he burned his ass. Because apparently the seat burned his ass.
Yeah. Crazy. And then, I mean, there were also just a billion penalties.
Yes.
And that kind of played a big part in, like, sort of the outcome of the race. Obviously the 50 got disqualified, so it doesn't really matter how many penalties they had. But Ferrari was racking up penalties like crazy.
They were.
And I don't think... I don't know. I don't know that the 6 would have been in position to get a podium had Ferrari executed a perfect race. The 6 executed a perfect race. Like, no going off, no penalties, no wheels flying off after pit stop. Like, none of the issues that existed, like, none of those happened with the 6. The 6 ran a perfect race, and usually the car, and I think that's why it hurts so much that they didn't win.
Yeah.
Normally, the car that runs the perfect race and doesn't get penalties, doesn't screw up, wins Le Mans. That is how you win the 24 hours of Le Mans, is you run your race perfectly. And they did that and still came up short. And I know they can't say it, so I will. Because BOP is still messed up.
Yeah.
There is no reason that the Ferraris should have been able to get the level of penalties they did and still storm through the field. And for a long time, it looked like they were going to go 1, 2, 3. Like, it absolutely looked like it was going to be a podium lockout.
Yes.
And they still went, prior to the disqualification, they went 1, 3, 4. You know, like, that's... BOP is messed up, and it needs to be corrected. You know, I mean, you can compare with any other series. I've seen people say, oh, well, Honda's the only one that's won in IndyCar. Oh, well, look at how only a couple teams are winning in Formula One. Those do not have a system that is supposed to adjust every single race to make sure the racing is competitive. Now, I will say the racing was competitive here.
Yes.
So, like, BOP specifically isn't maybe as screwed up as it has been in the past, but
it's still not great.
They shouldn't have been able, like, had the Ferraris also run a perfect race, I wouldn't be saying this about BOP. That would have been fine. You know, like, that, I wouldn't have had an issue with that. But they didn't beat the Porsche fairly, I feel like. They had a car that just, in a series where no car is supposed to be better, they had a car that was better.
It's very clear that their car is better, too.
Yeah, and that just, I don't know, kind of upset me. I mean, all 3 cars on the podium did something that was, like, unheard of, essentially, from Le Mans. The average grid position of the podium was 15. And it was the first Le Mans podium to feature all 3 cars starting outside the top 10. The winning car, the 83, started 13th. The 6 started 21st, last. And it's important to say last, because they went last to second, and I cannot overstate how amazing that is.
Like, that just needs to be, we're gonna keep reminding you.
Yes, that should probably be the name of the episode. It's not, but it probably should be. The Porsche Penske 6 went last to second. And then the 51 started 11th. So, like, that's really cool. And one thing for me is, like, after the previous races this season, and I put this in one of my Instagram stories, I think, or a post or a tweet or something, is like, if you had told me after Qatar that the 6 was gonna be on the podium at Le Mans, I'd be like, can I have some of whatever you're drinking?
Yes.
Like, are you kidding me? I know Le Mans is different, and I know that, you know, BOP is different, I know, but, like, that car looked nowhere at the beginning of the season. And what I'm concerned about is that in Brazil, it's going to look nowhere again. Because they're going to go back to normal BOP.
I was thinking that as well.
Maybe, and this is all I can hope, is if they're crap again in Brazil, they will have to fix it by COTA. Which is what matters, because I will be at COTA.
Yes, we will be at COTA, and we have a streak to maintain.
Yes, podiums. I mean, technically no, because they weren't on the podium last year. You have a streak to maintain.
I have a streak to maintain.
I have, in fact, seen the 6 race and not be on the podium. You have not.
I have not, so I have a streak to maintain
I have a streak for IMSA, so, boys, you have a mission for Petite.
Yeah, I'm sorry, boys, you have a mission for COTA and
you
petite.
have a mission for every race because I enjoy seeing you on the podium.
Can I just point out though, this was for the second year in a row we had the people starting last in hypercar finish second because like last year the Toyota
the
were not
Toyota
even
did it.
qualifying, and then they managed to get up to second, which
is what everybody told me was going to happen when I was
Yes.
when I was being very depressed about it. I had multiple people DM me and be like, "Hey, you remember the Toyota last year, right?" And I'm like, but like the Toyota was a fast car last year." Aries, you have fun stuff to talk about.
Yeah, it's fun stuff, and it's again commentary related. Last year everybody who follows Le Mans knows that last year the Spanish commentators went to just a bit hog wild, randomly broke out into song during that long safety car. This year they did it. They did it again. Apparently, they were having too many espresso macchiatos in there and just decided to sing about it. That was that thing. And
I'll say, like, if you're doing a broadcast for that long, I feel like there's a point where you lose your brain a little bit and like you go mad a little bit. So
I would. I definitely would. I just don't know what I would talk about. Probably not funny cakes at 2:30 in the morning, but probably something similar. And yeah, I feel like the singing at this point has to become a tradition every year. We need to have our little 3 minutes of singing from at least the Spanish broadcast. But the local guys, my local guys, the Brazilian people, we had 2 streams, by the way, and there was singing in both of them.
They joined forces. They joined forces together. They were like, we must sing.
And it was quite good, actually. It's a shame I couldn't find any clips of that. But like there was one circling around Twitter, but there were more. I don't think anybody remembered to clip that, but it was random and entertaining. And please do it again next year.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, our broadcast just towards the end was talking about French bacon and how it's not good apparently, and we were getting a whole analysis about bacon for a while, and I was like, what have we come to? How sleep deprived are we that we're just hearing about bacon now?
Yes, the answer is yes.
They were talking about bacon for a really long time. My favorite broadcast bit was not on a broadcast I heard. It was something Aries messaged me because I just get a message. They're discussing how to say Kevin Estra's name on Brazilian television right now.
Yes. Because apparently, we call him, like in English, we usually call him Kevin Estra. And then one of the broadcasters of the stream that I was watching, I don't know about the other one, but the stream that I was watching somehow decided to call him Kevin Estre. I was like, what?
I have heard it said Kevin Estre, which is different than what you said and different from Kevin Estra. So Kevin, tell us how you pronounce your last name, please.
Yeah, they Frenchified some other names as well. Like, I mean, I don't know how Norman Nature's name is pronounced in French, but like they were also putting the emphasis on the end of his name there. It wasn't NATO, it was NATO.
I mean, it's technically
NATO. Yeah,
it's NATO.
He says NATO.
Yeah.
All the American broadcasters just say NATO. He says NATO.
It's NATO. I just say NATO at this point because it's funny because of all the jokes you can make because of NATO.
Yes.
I'm great.
But no, like, FE broadcast sometimes says NATO. Like, but yeah. The broadcast is sometimes the best part of Le Mans.
Yes. Well, I can say they got me to 4 a.m. before I randomly passed out, so good on them.
I did the full 24. Me and my, this is not an ad, Sacred Coffee 963, from which I made a bunch of lattes. I was chronicling my latte making on Instagram.
How's the art improving?
Yeah.
I can almost make one of those latte hearts now, so it's improving a little bit.
Yeah.
It's
Barista
really that
era
I'm
incoming.
struggling with getting the correct, like, milk texture to be able to make art, so
Yes.
it's improving though. But yes, Sacred Coffee, they're very good. They have a bunch of Porsche-ish related coffees. They
Yeah,
have the 963, which is what I was drinking. They have a Team
and
Penske one, which is not really Porsche Penske. It's more like IndyCar, NASCAR Penske. So I don't have that one. They have an Andre coffee, Andre
Yes.
Lauderer. I have that one at work.
which is I love how both Sacred Coffee packages you have are both they are both South America. So yeah, I'm taking credit.
Yes, they are, because the 963 is Brazilian coffee beans and the Andre Lauderer one is Peruvian coffee beans.
Yes.
This is not an ad, once again.
I also believe the Team Penske one is as well. So
I don't know because I don't have that one. Sacred Cafe, folks, if you would like this to be an ad, I like coffee,
Yeah,
and I will do ads.
Yeah, like my state is just very close to where you grow your 963 coffee beans. So if you want to provide me with a free sample, I'm accepting.
I guess my final thought on Lamar, so we can wrap this up, and I know you have a final thought as well about radio traffic, Oz.
it's great.
But my final thought is something that has been bothering me the whole 2 weeks. And honestly, all the time leading up to the 2 weeks, all we heard is Felipe Nasser and Nick Tandy can do the endurance thing, whatever, Triple Crown, meaning in 1 year, meaning win Daytona, Sebring, and Le Mans in 1 year. Guys, there was a third person in that car for Daytona and Sebring who was also racing at Le Mans, Lawrence Vantor. Like, nobody mentioned that Lawrence was also going to be able to do the Endurance Triple Crown in one season, and I did not hear a single mention of the fact that had the 6 won, Lawrence would have done the Tandy Slam thing, the Mr. 24 Hours, the 24-hour Grand Slam, whatever you want to call it. The overall win at Daytona, Le Mans, Nürburgring, and Spa. Nobody mentioned that, and I don't know if they didn't want to jinx him, but like had no issues jinxing Tandy and Nasser. Like, it just upsets me because what?
No, the jinxing. They kept on mentioning them so many times that they got jinxed.
You have a problem with them jinxing Felipe Nasser. Yeah. Shocking.
Wow. Who would have thought?
But no, it upsets me because, like, why is Lawrence not getting that same level of recognition? I get it that, like, Tandy and Nasser could have done it as teammates that did it for all 3 races, but how is that any different than Lawrence doing it for all 3 races?
Yeah. I feel like it was purely for the reason of, like, they were like, the 4 car.
I think they forgot about Lawrence.
Yeah, but I think it's purely the fact that it happened that Tandy and Nasser were together in a car that made everyone remember those two for some reason, and then forget Lawrence. I'm not saying it's okay. I also was infuriated about it every single time I saw it, but I feel like that's the logic people are going to use.
And I kept on tweeting about it because that's how upset I was.
Yes.
I saw that.
Upset about it.
It was stupid.
Very upsetting.
Yeah. It was very upsetting. Well, now to radio communications that are less upsetting and just very funny. And I feel like was the talk of the race for a little bit because it was just very iconic. And that was the 311 Action Express Cadillac wheel-in car having beef with Peugeot. By saying, I hate my Peugeot rental car, and I hate this Peugeot buddy. He's killing us right now. We're -5 to Button right now. Button's pulling away from us. And that was the end of the radio communication, and I guess they just really have beef with Peugeot.
Yeah.
The new meme was born.
Yes, a new meme was created.
That was amazing.
It was great. It was not the radio I expected at all.
No.
Aries, do you have any final thoughts about Le Mans?
I do have one tiny thought that kind of spills over into other series, but since the main focus is Le Mans, I'm gonna say it. The '83 yellow Ferrari won, and Robert Kubica, the madman, was pretty much the one. I'm not gonna diss on the other two drivers, but I'm pretty sure his heroics are what allowed the '83 to be there at the front at the end. But then, like, the guy I think he did like 5 stints at the end. He was exhausted. And he's also not really used to showing a lot of emotion. I get it. Le Mans is probably the race you want to win, but still, just because your face is not exploding in vibrant displays of yes, I've done this, I'm extremely happy, woohoo. That doesn't mean he's just well, yes, I've done it, and I don't care about it. Like, it's just everybody has a way of celebrating, and I saw some people, some tweets on the timeline talking about like, oh yeah, he won the race, and he's not even celebrating it. Like, oh my god, this and that. Like, you don't need to douse your face in confetti every single time you win. Like, sometimes that's just not how you roll. But it doesn't make the win any less, I don't know, sweet.
I mean, that's also how, as someone who has followed Robert's like almost entire career from Formula One to now, that's just how he's always been. Like, don't tell someone else how you think they should celebrate, I guess.
Agree.
Yeah. Like, I get it, because, like, it's Le Mans, and I feel like you feel like a lot of people would, like, celebrate that race, like, so differently if they're, like, a guy who tends to be more reserved. I feel like a lot of people expect, like, for Le Mans to not be reserved because of how big it is, but, like...
I don't know that I think that winning Le Mans changes who you are as a person.
Exactly.
I think it does change who you are as a person, but I don't think it changes who you are as a person with your celebration style. Yeah. So, now we get ready to do 24 hours all over again this coming weekend, because the Nürburgring 24 hours is this weekend.
I need to top up my sugar stash.
Yeah, that's how I survived Le Mans, so...
So there are a few drivers that are doing all 3 24-hour races this month, but one that we have talked about before in the past, a driver that we support, a young Porsche guy, is Lo Kartog. So he is doing all 3 Le Mans, Nürburgring, and Spa. So that's pretty cool. And then other drivers that we like that are doing the Nürburgring race, Kevin Estre and Lawrence Vantor are both doing it, but they will not be teammates in this race. Kevin's going to be in the Manthey Porsche number 911, which is the Grello car, and then Lawrence is going to be in the Schurer Porsche number 16. So you keep an eye out for them.
Yes. Then Ralph Aaron is going to be in Mercedes number 17.
Yes, which is not the Mercedes that Morrow is in, so I can, like, vaguely support Ralph.
Vaguely.
Hey. If Ralph was in Morrow Engel's car, nope, no support there. Yes. However, he's not.
He's not, so you can support this singular Mercedes with me.
Yes. Yes, I cannot be against it, is what I'll say.
Yes.
And then friend of the show, Alessio Piccarello, and also another Porsche driver, Julian Andlauer, are going to be in the Falcon Porsche number 33. Sorry, Julian, but you're not a friend of the show yet, so you get second billing there, even though you're the factory hypercar guy. We can work on you being a friend of the show, though.
Yeah, we already talked about Hartog, but Bastian Bus is also going to be with him in the 54 Porsche as well, so they'll be teammates, which is cool.
Yes, and well, unsurprisingly, I'm going to toot my own horn, and I'm not going to wave my flag this time, but I will play the nationality card because I'm going to be cheering for the 98 Rover Racing BMW because August Farfus is in there. And just a little side note, I love skimming those entry lists for those events, like those standalone racing events, big events. There is always a little odd one out there.
Yeah.
I think he won one of the Lamborghinis. Oh no, actually he won one of the Audis. There is someone with the flag of Kyrgyzstan because apparently that person used the Russian racing license and now they can't, so they're using the flag of Kyrgyzstan, which I thought, am I seeing things? But no, the flag was really there.
Interesting.
And apparently the person is using either a pseudonym or I don't know, they didn't submit the full name because the only name listed there is Selv. Who on earth is that?
We can find out this weekend.
We will find out this weekend who Selv is.
I hope they show that on the broadcast.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, it's better than sometimes Mercedes just, like, leaves blanks and you puts a flag, so then you just have to, like, guess who the driver is.
Nice.
I'm like, who could that be? So, at least you got a name.
Real strange piece of news that was announced last week is that the Asian Le Mans series is adding a Pro-Am class for hypercars. And I guess there are a lot of rich people that want to buy a hypercar and own a customer hypercar team. I could only think of two people that might possibly do this, and it's Yasser Shaheen, who's drove it with Porsche last year, driving with BMW this year, owns the Ben Motorsport Park, like really wealthy guy, really car guy. And then Antares Au. Like, those are really like the two people that I can think of that maybe would do this. Ben Keating's one that I would have thought, except for that he said he will not be participating because hypercars suck to drive, and one crash would be his entire current racing budget.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
The man's using logic, and I applaud him for that.
He is using logic, but I mean, the series has said the focus is to get Asian teams with deep pockets involved. So, like, how many cars do they think they're actually going to get? And what places are actually doing hypercar? Like, hypercar or LMDH customers? Like, Porsche has said they're not doing any more customers, which I feel like Antares Au might be able to talk them out of that. Or he'll just, I don't know, buy Proton's car.
Yeah.
Like the Mustang Proton in IMSA. He'll just buy that car since they only do the endurance challenge anyways. And he'll do Asian Le Mans with it. Like, that's what I think might actually happen here, because Porsche has said they're not making customer 963s going forward. So what exists basically exists. They are specific with PPM, essentially. Yeah, I don't know who else could be involved.
Yeah, it is about to be Crazy Rich Asians Hypercar Edition, and well,
I love that. I love that.
I need that movie now. Same,
I want that as well. The only thought I had, like I made a bit of a connection with this weekend's result. Yifei is part of the Ferrari lineup, and Zhou Guanyu is also still, technically, he's part of the Ferrari stable.
Yes,
so all they need to do is find someone, a bronze with deep pockets, and they can fill the 499p in there.
I need to look at, like, what you need to do to be a bronze. Like, do you just need to acquire a racing license from your country and say, hi, I would like to start a race car team, may I be a bronze? Like, if I win the lottery, if I win the lottery, for instance, and wanted to go get a racing license, like here, and convinced Porsche to give me a car, can I just get Matt Campbell and Kevin Estre to drive it with me in the Asian Le Mans series, please? Like, is that a thing that I could do?
Coming to the Asian Le Mans series, Nick, be on the lookout.
I have not won the lottery. I do not have money to purchase a 963. However, if I did win, like, the really big billions of dollars lottery, I would be figuring out how to become a bronze driver. So
there would be signs, and those signs would be Nick being in Asian Le Mans series.
And somehow convincing Matt and Kevin to participate.
Hey, I'm just saying there would be signs.
I changed my mind. As much as it would be fun to be teammates with Matt and Kevin, I know who I'm getting to participate. And if you think hard enough, you too will know.
There's so many options.
Lauren Heinrich and Thomas Preining, get their butts in a 963 racing, and I will fund this.
See, I was like, it's gonna be Lauren, but who's she gonna put in as the second option?
Yes. Okay. See, as fun as it would be to, lap the track 2 minutes slower than Matt and Kevin, I will much more gladly lap the track 2 minutes slower than Lauren and Thomas and give them their opportunity in a 963 so that PPM will sign.
And these will be the signs. Plan. These will be the signs.
Yes.
Hypercars on the Asian Le Mans series. We will be there, not with our own team though. For now.
So in IndyCar, our spotter won, Jesse.
Let's go, Jesse.
Who is the spotter for Kyle Kirkwood?
Yes.
Won because Kyle won. So congrats to the whole 27 team, but especially Jesse.
Yes.
He is a friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
Yeah, and then I feel like IndyCar just needs to move all the short oval races to the nighttime because, that race was incredible. The amount of passing, the amount of, oh my god, they're going 4 wide into 1. Like, they're going 3 wide into 1. Like, my gosh, they were racing. And then just, like, crazy moves where cars were popping out of nowhere and it's racing we haven't seen with the hybrid. And I think it's the cooler temperatures. I think these cars just work better in cooler temperatures. So let's move the rest of the short ovals to nighttime. We'll get some temporary lighting for the Milwaukee Mile, and it'll all be fine.
It will be great.
I mean, they've done that before in Milwaukee, so
yes,
they can do it again.
Yeah. Exactly.
And, like, I personally am not one of those, get rid of road and street courses and give more ovals, because ovals don't drive the attendance that road and street courses do. And ultimately, you need attendance to have a successful racing series. But I think you could show anybody that enjoys any form of racing, like non-oval racing, like a sports car fan, an F1 fan, that race, and they would think it was interesting.
They would. I feel like maybe we don't need obviously we don't need to fill up the calendar with ovals. Like, this is not the IRL anymore. But I don't know. Is there a couple of more flat ovals we can add to it? Because it left me wanting to see more.
IndyCar at Bristol.
Do it.
I mean, hey.
IndyCar at Bristol could work.
I don't think so either.
Physically, I don't. But that would be.
But it would be so great.
So much fun.
It would be so good. Give it to me now.
This is once again me going on a rant about crap that happened on social media. There was a big kind of group of people upset with the NASCAR fake news page, Daily Downfords, which is intentionally designed to look like legitimate news site Daily Downforce, and they ran a story during the 2 weeks when everyone was over in Le Mans, including a notable podcaster within the IndyCar sphere, quoting him with a fake quote about Will Power retiring and getting replaced by David Malukas. I think that these fake news sites are stupid, but I understand that they're funny, right? But when they start quoting people that have some degree of legitimacy, I mean, you can argue about whether you think this individual has full legitimacy or not, but it is somebody who is respected online within IndyCar as someone who delivers news. And when you're quoting someone like that, people are going to take it as legitimate, even if maybe the site isn't usually a legitimate site.
There's a fine line, and I feel like that is that fine line to me that, like, you don't cross.
Right. And I think that, everybody has the ability to go out on social media and make up a rumor, right? Like, Team Penske has decided they're not moving forward with Joseph Newgarden, and Santino Ferrucci is being signed for next year for the number 2 car. Like, make that completely fake story up, post it online, make it look a little legitimate, and because for whatever reason, people are not doing any critical thinking when they see a story that doesn't seem to make sense, they just repost it and freak out. It's become a serious problem.
Yeah.
It's become a serious problem because you have, respectable accounts, fan accounts, but respectable fan accounts getting duped by these pages. And, once an account with 10,000 followers retweets something, their followers now think it's true.
Yeah. I think also this specific situation is also kind of like slightly different in the sense that I feel like the conversation of David Malukas, Will Power, like the connection of the two, has been thrown around for a while because of talks people have tried to have of David Malukas being set like to go to Penske once Will retires. So I feel
the rumor as soon as he signed the Foyt contract was it was a Penske contract on loan to Foyt.
Exactly.
That's fine, but reporting it as fact and then falsely quoting someone with media credentials,
yes,
to the point where this guy who was on vacation in France at Le Mans had to put out a tweet, hey, I've said nothing about Will Power or David Malukas in a week because I'm in France.
Yeah,
this is not me.
What I was saying was, like, I feel like that is why people believed it more so. Like, especially from a fake account, is because this is a conversation that, like, the broadcast has been having, like, credible news outlets have been having since David signed his contract, that now this, like, parody account, which, if you look at it quickly enough, looks like the real account, being just another outlet with somebody who people do trust, but because of all of those little links, I feel like that's what makes this almost worse.
Then in NASCAR, they were in Mexico over the weekend, and there were like serious logistical issues getting everything to the track. Like, the trucks were driving there, and it was like a whole convoy, and they got delayed for a long time because they all wanted to cross. Like, they wanted to get all their paperwork in order and cross as a single unit, so it was super delayed.
Yeah, it led to a lot of issues for like the entire weekend, where it almost it made the race weekend feel very unorganized, because you're having, for like Xfinity, like sessions just being canceled because the guys aren't there. Like, enough of the field wasn't there yet to be able to like do the set sessions that they had planned for certain times. Their cars aren't there. There was just like so many issues with getting so many different parts of the weekend there in time that, like, it just felt like a super unorganized weekend. You had situations where they were throwing people into roles because people for roles weren't there. So, like, Connor Zilish had to step in for a little bit as Ross Chastain's spotter, which, despite Connor saying he's never done before, he has done before. He must have just blacked that out, but he has been a spotter. You had, like, situations like that because Ross's spotter just didn't make it in time to Mexico. So everything just felt very unorganized and, like, put together last minute.
Yeah, and then there was a guy on Twitter who tweeted something along the lines of, if the terminal blew up at Charlotte Douglas right now, there would be no more NASCAR. And he deleted it, but not before everybody saw it. Like, yeah, obviously most of the NASCAR drivers and teams are based in North Carolina. So of course they all fly out of Charlotte Douglas. What possesses you to tweet that? Like, that guy's probably going to end up on the no-fly list, honestly, because that's, it's a vague bomb threat, but it's still a bomb threat.
It's still a threat, and, like, as somebody who was literally just at that airport, but also not just at that airport, I was literally in the exact terminal, like, that was referenced in the tweet. I was like, this feels way too real, and I don't like it. Well, another thing that happened in the NASCAR race this weekend that doesn't usually happen in NASCAR races is we had a podium celebration with the top 3 drivers all getting little trophies and sombreros, but then also champagne. You can tell NASCAR drivers don't do this a lot. Because Chase Elliott really struggled with being able to open a bottle of champagne, and then spraying said champagne. So much so that he posted it on his own Instagram calling himself out because of how bad it was. So maybe if we're gonna do this again, we need to get all the guys champagne lessons because they really struggled.
Champagne lessons.
Yeah.
I know I would need some because, I just don't have good fingers.
I know how to open a bottle of champagne for drinking, but, like, as far as spraying a bottle of champagne, I don't know how good I would be at that either.
Yeah.
Honestly.
No. I feel like it almost looked like Chase Elliott has just never seen champagne before because he couldn't even open the champagne.
Yeah.
Like, it was bad.
And then another thing from the Mexico race weekend was that Denny Hamlin wasn't racing because he had a child that was born. And there was a question for a minute about whether he was going to retain his playoff eligibility, because he's won a few races this year. And there's not, like, a specific thing in the waivers for birth of a child. There's, like, medical, and there's you won't get one if you go race in another race. This whole waiver thing has gotten so cracked down on because they're so desperate to be able to exclude Kyle Larson or anybody else that ever wants to try the double.
Yes.
It's ridiculous.
It literally is the Kyle Larson rule. Like, it was literally created for that reason, to prevent the double from happening. So.
Yeah. And then, I mean, sort of related to the double, but sort of not. The Indy 500 and the Canadian Grand Prix are going to directly conflict with each other. Everybody's got their own opinion on whether that's intentional or whether anybody cares, whether they're just catering to 2 different fan bases. One thing I saw people saying online was that F1 intentionally left the last weekend in May 29th through 31st, open because they misunderstood when the Indy 500 was. That didn't happen. there is no way that Formula One misunderstood when the Indy 500 is, but just in case anyone's confused, the Indy 500 is the weekend before Memorial Day. Memorial Day is the last Monday in the month of May, so it's not always the last weekend in May. And the issue that I think a lot of people I've talked to that have concerns about this is the rest of the world potentially not being able to see the finish of the Indy 500. Because so both Indianapolis and Montreal are in the Eastern time zone. So the Indy 500 starts at 12:45 Eastern time. Indy 500 usually runs just under 3 hours. The Canadian Grand Prix typically starts at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So you're not going to be able to watch the Indy 500 till the end and flip over to the Canadian Grand Prix. Like in the past with Monaco, you've been able to watch the entirety of Monaco and then flip over to the Indy 500 pre-race. It's a thing that people did. And that just is not a possibility anymore. And schedules aren't created in a vacuum, but it's also not on any one series to look out for not conflicting with another series. I mean, IndyCar created its schedule with full knowledge that it conflicted with Le Mans this year. People complained about that, but it's not on IndyCar to not conflict with Le Mans. It's not on Formula One to not conflict with IndyCar. And yeah, it kind of sucks that stuff. And honestly, also, like, Canadian Grand Prix qualifying was right during Le Mans this year. Like, occurred while Le Mans was going on. The race started after Le Mans ended, but it is not on these series to create their schedules to not conflict with one another. It's just unfortunate for viewers that do enjoy both races. And I mean, if we have a Canadian Grand Prix next year like we did this year, you're going to miss out by not watching that race. That was a really wild, really exciting F1 race. And it's unfortunate, but there's nothing we can do about it, and that's it.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say this because I'm our resident Canadian of the podcast. If I had to choose, I'm not choosing the Canadian Grand Prix to watch. I'm choosing the Indy 500 to watch because, to me, that is the bigger event to watch. But also, you could do what I'm most likely going to do, and I feel like some people are going to do. If you have two screens, you can have both up. If you're able to do picture-in-picture, you can have both on one screen at the same time and just have audio on for whichever one you prefer. And you can do that. Or you can just watch one or the other.
Yeah.
Like,
the problem is in countries where the same broadcaster has exclusive rights to both.
yes.
Like, there is a potential issue with Sky Sports in the UK cutting Indy 500 on the main Sky channel. Like, so I don't quite know if Sky is free or if you pay a minimal fee for it, but I know to get the extra Sky channels, it costs more money. So the Indy 500 will start at 12:45 Eastern time on Sky. And then at 2 p.m. Eastern time, you can guarantee that's cutting over to the Canadian Grand Prix. Will the average person in the UK have access to that race? Because most of the people I talked to that were concerned about this were British, and that was what they brought up. You know, so they may not have the ability to do two screens.
Yeah.
Because they do not have access to F1 TV because it's media blacked out there. Sky has exclusive access. Here we have ESPN running the Sky broadcast and still can subscribe to F1 TV, so you could watch the F1 race on two different screens if you wanted.
Yeah.
VPNs exist, but again, like, it's just unfortunate.
It's unfortunate. It's going to be interesting to see how things play out. I feel like we don't like 100% know for sure like how things are going to be set up wise, like for it broadcast wise, for 100% certainty yet. So like once we know more details about that, it will be interesting to know. Sucks either way that like you're having to come to this point where it's picking one or the other, but it's not. This happens other times. It just isn't like usually such big of a race.
Yeah, it's not. It's usually not. It's usually not such a high-profile conflict. I guess not defending their decisions, but with the way the calendar, the F1 calendar has become more and more packed recently, and the way they want to rationalize the stuff, this move has been rumored for a while, so we all kind of saw it coming. But still, doesn't mean we have to like it.
Exactly. The outro's a little different this week because I changed my social media handle on all social media, so pay attention to that part when I say Nicole is. Thanks for listening. You can find us on Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram at Orange Flag Pod. On Twitter, this is the important part, Nicole is at Nicole on Racing. Austin is at Hendrik Claren. Aries is at Aries_Alpenglow.
Stay orange.